Imagine living peacefully in your own home, mortgage-free, debt-free, and finally feeling safe. Then one random day, you get a call from a stranger who says, "I just bought your house." You laugh, thinking it's a prank. But then you check and realize it's not. This is not a movie plot. This is real. A woman named Trenita Rogers from North Carolina lived this nightmare, all because of a $1,491 HOA fee she didn't even know existed. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and comment below what you would do if this happened to you. Because what you're about to hear will make you question whether anyone's home is truly safe. For 12 years, Trenita Rogers lived in peace. Her home in Pitt County, North Carolina, was more than just a house. It was the result of years of hard work, dreams, and sacrifice. She had done what many people only hope for. She had completely paid off her mortgage. No monthly payments, no debt collectors, no stress. Just her home, and a quiet sense of accomplishment. Neighbors saw her as stable and responsible, the kind of homeowner every community values. There was no sign, not even the slightest hint, that trouble was coming. But behind that calm life, a silent mistake had already been made. Somewhere in the complicated web of real estate paperwork, her property had been registered under a homeowners association, HOA, one she didn't even know she was part of. An HOA is supposed to maintain shared areas and enforce community rules. But HOAs also hold immense legal power, including the right to foreclose on properties for unpaid dues. For Trenita, this membership was invisible. She never got a welcome packet, never received a single notice about dues, and didn't even know an HOA existed in her neighborhood. The address the HOA had on record wasn't hers. It belonged to the former owner of the house. So, when the HOA sent out letters demanding payment for unpaid dues, they went straight to the wrong address. Weeks turned into months. Notices piled up somewhere she would never see. And as the balance quietly grew to $1,491, the HOA decided to act. Trenita was living her normal life, going to work, paying her taxes, maintaining her property, while, in the eyes of the HOA, she was already a delinquent homeowner. It was a ticking time bomb. And one day soon, it would explode in a way she never imagined. It started with what should have been a simple clerical matter, $1,491 in unpaid HOA dues. A small number compared to her home's $413,000 market value. But this isn't a story about numbers. It's a story about systems that don't always care about fairness. In North Carolina, HOAs have the power to foreclose on a home even without a judge's approval, as long as proper notices are sent. The law doesn't require that the homeowner actually receive those notices. In Trenita's case, the HOA's lawyer followed every procedural step, except one crucial thing. The mail was being sent to the wrong address. So, while official letters and court notices were being processed, Trenita remained in the dark. No phone calls. No visits. Nothing. Meanwhile, behind her back, foreclosure papers were filed in the county records office. Imagine, you're cooking dinner, paying your bills, completely unaware that your house is being sold in legal documents miles away. This wasn't a missed mortgage payment. This wasn't a refusal to pay. It was miscommunication turned into devastation. When the debt wasn't paid, because she didn't even know about it, the HOA proceeded with foreclosure. Under North Carolina law, a process called an upset bid allows other buyers to purchase the foreclosed property by outbidding the original buyer within a certain time frame. That process moved fast. Too fast. And before she even realized something was wrong, someone else had already bought her house. It was November 2022. A cold, normal day. Trenita's phone rang. On the other end was a polite, calm male voice. "Hi, ma'am. I just wanted to let you know. I bought your house." Her first reaction? Laughter. It had to be a prank. But the man sounded serious. He gave his name, and the details matched her address. "Ma'am, I purchased it through the courthouse auction." Heart racing, Trenita grabbed her keys and drove straight to the Pitt County courthouse. She ran through public records, searching line after line. And then, there it was. Her name, crossed out. The property listed as sold. Her home, the place she had paid for in full, was gone. Sold for just $221,000 in an upset bid. She stood there, staring at the paper, trying to make sense of it. How could anyone sell her house without her knowing? The answer lay in the cold precision of legal documents. Every step was by the book. Every notice sent. Every action valid. But to Trenita, it felt like theft disguised as legality. She returned home, numb and shaken. That night she barely slept. Her home, her pride, had been taken over a $1,491 debt she never knew existed. The next morning, Trenita began her fight. She called lawyers, county officials, and even the HOA. But everywhere she turned, she hit a wall of legal procedure. "Ma'am, the foreclosure was conducted legally. The notices were sent. There's nothing we can do." Each phrase felt like another stab to her hope. She learned that the upset bid system made it nearly impossible to reverse the sale. Even if she wanted to buy her home back, she'd have to pay far above what it sold for, money she didn't have on hand. Still, she refused to give up. She began a public campaign, speaking to local reporters and community activists. Her story spread, first in local papers, then across national outlets. People were horrified. How could a $1,491 debt lead to the loss of a fully paid home worth hundreds of thousands? Support poured in. Legal experts began questioning whether HOA powers were being abused. Trenita became the face of a broken system. But her personal battle was far from over. The legal process dragged on, expensive and exhausting. And while she fought, someone else was already living in her home. Every corner of that house had memories, family dinners, holidays, laughter. Now, it was just an address she had to fight to reclaim. Trenita Rogers never imagined her story would travel beyond her quiet North Carolina neighborhood. In her mind, this was a deeply personal tragedy, something she needed to fix, to reverse, to survive. But what began as a nightmare inside one woman's home soon became a wake-up call for homeowners across America. Her story, a $1,491 debt leading to the loss of a $413,000 fully paid house, was shared by local journalists first. But once national news outlets picked it up, it spread like wildfire. Headlines screamed across social media. HOA sells woman's home over $1,400. Paid off home foreclosed without owner's knowledge. How is this even legal? Every post, every tweet, every comment carried a mix of shock, anger, and disbelief. For many, Trenita's story wasn't just about her. It was about them. Balanskill, a story that struck. Homeowners from Texas to California began sharing their own experiences, small disputes with HOAs that spiraled into massive problems. Some had been fined for leaving trash cans out too long. Others for painting their doors the wrong color. A few even faced legal action over a garden fence that didn't match community standards. And while those cases were frustrating, Trenita's case crossed a line. It wasn't about aesthetics or neighborhood rules anymore. It was about the right to keep your own home. The realization hit millions of people like a cold wave. Wait, can an HOA really take my house over a small unpaid fee? The answer, as uncomfortable as it was, turned out to be yes. In states like North Carolina, HOAs have the legal power to initiate foreclosure proceedings for unpaid dues, no matter how small the amount. And even worse, these foreclosures don't always require a judge. If the HOA can show that notices were sent, even to the wrong address, the law often considers that good enough. It's a system that assumes fairness, but as Trenita's story proved, fairness and legality aren't always the same thing. House: the emotional aftermath. For Trenita, this wasn't just about losing property. It was about losing peace, dignity, and trust in the system. Imagine walking past your own home and seeing a "sold" sign in the yard, knowing you never agreed to it. Imagine another family living inside, unaware of the heartbreak attached to those walls. That was her daily reality. Friends and neighbors offered sympathy, but no one could truly understand the depth of what she felt. Every corner of her life had been uprooted, not by crime or carelessness, but by bureaucracy. The home she worked her entire adult life to own had been taken through a legal technicality. And yet, what stood out the most was her strength. Instead of breaking down completely, Trenita began speaking up. She reached out to local reporters, advocacy groups, and lawyers who specialized in property law. Her voice, steady but emotional, became a beacon for others who had suffered in silence. Newspaper The public outrage. As her story reached TV networks and online platforms, public anger turned into pressure. Comment sections exploded with outrage. This is theft, plain and simple. HOAs have become mini-governments with no accountability. If she can lose her home, none of us are safe. Petitions started circulating online calling for HOA reform and stronger homeowner protection laws. Lawmakers began receiving letters and emails from constituents demanding action. Even real estate experts, who rarely weigh in on emotional cases, agreed that the balance of power between HOAs and homeowners had gone too far. Some called for mandatory judicial oversight before any HOA foreclosure could happen. Others proposed that homes with no mortgage should have additional safeguards, requiring personal delivery of foreclosure notices, not just mailed letters. For once, both ordinary people and professionals were on the same side. Magnifying glass tilted left the systemic problem. The deeper journalists dug, the more disturbing patterns they uncovered. Across the U.S., thousands of similar cases existed, though few had gained public attention. In some, homeowners lost properties worth hundreds of thousands of dollars over small sums: $600, $900, $1,200. Some never received notices. Others were unaware they were even part of an HOA. The issue wasn't just legal, it was structural. HOAs, originally designed to keep neighborhoods tidy and harmonious, had evolved into powerful private governments. They could issue fines, place liens on property, and, in certain states, initiate foreclosure, all without traditional court involvement. And because many homeowners sign HOA agreements at closing without fully reading them, they unknowingly sign away major rights, including, in some cases, the right to contest a foreclosure easily. Trenita's situation became the symbol of that imbalance, a living example of what happens when procedure overrides humanity. Speech balloon. Trenita's voice. In one emotional interview, Trenita said, "I did everything right. I worked hard, I paid my mortgage, I took care of my home. I just didn't know about an HOA I never joined. And now, it feels like the system doesn't care about fairness, only paperwork." Her voice trembled, but her eyes carried determination. She wasn't just fighting for her house anymore, she was fighting for every homeowner who could be next. She started working with advocates to push for new state legislation. The goal was clear: ensure no one could lose a paid-off home over such a small misunderstanding again. Her message resonated deeply, especially among elderly homeowners, single parents, and veterans who often face similar HOA confusion. In the months following her viral story, several state legislators began discussing potential HOA reform bills. Some proposed requiring HOAs to send certified and verified notices before any foreclosure, creating a minimum debt threshold, like $5,000, before foreclosure is even an option, establishing independent review boards for disputes before they reach the courts. While change is slow, Trenita's story has already altered public perception. People now read their HOA agreements more carefully. Communities are demanding transparency, and homeowners are realizing that silence and assumption can be costly. Sun behind small cloud, a new beginning. Though her case remains legally complicated, Trenita hasn't lost her spirit. She's temporarily living with family while continuing her legal battle. But more importantly, she's turned her pain into purpose. She's now working with local housing advocacy groups, warning others to verify HOA memberships, check property records, and never ignore legal mail. Her tragedy became a movement of awareness. And even though the house may no longer be hers on paper, her story has made her a symbol of strength, courage, and reform. "I lost my home," she once said, "but maybe my voice can save someone else's." Her story leaves us with hard but vital lessons. 1. Always confirm if your property is part of an HOA even if the seller or agent doesn't mention it. 2. Keep your mailing information updated with county offices and associations. 3. Open and respond to all legal mail immediately, even if it seems like junk. 4. Understand your rights. These can be powerful but not unstoppable. 5. Community reform matters. One story can spark real change. Trenita's story isn't just about one foreclosure. It's about what happens when systems forget the people they were built to serve. Her loss exposed how a small debt, mixed with bureaucracy and indifference, can destroy a lifetime of stability. But it also proved something bigger, that public awareness and collective outrage can create accountability. Today, her name stands as a reminder. If justice fails in silence, it can still speak through stories. And that's what this one did, loud enough to echo across the nation. So as you finish this story, ask yourself, would you have known if this could happen to you? Because if it could happen to Trenita Rogers, a responsible, law-abiding woman with a paid-off home, then maybe no one's truly safe from the fine print. And that's exactly why this story needs to be told, shared, and remembered. Homes can be rebuilt, she said softly in one interview. But trust, once it's taken, it never feels the same again. So if you believe homeowners deserve better protection, if you think no one should lose their home over $1 for 91, then don't just watch it. Spread the story. Talk about it. Because awareness is the first step toward change. Like this video, subscribe for more real stories and comment below, do HOAs have too much power? Together, maybe we can make sure what happened to Trenita Rogers never happens again.